It's time for Takes on Takes. You know the drill. You supply the takes. We give you the take on your take today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'd like to thank you for making Locked On NFL Scouting your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100.
Joe, can I start us with a take?
That would be very appropriate for Takes on Takes here.
Spirit of the take, right? But me having a take for Takes on Takes, and when we usually BS the first 3 minutes of the show, just wanted to clear it with you before.
Yeah, all right, let's get right into it. Minute 30 in.
I got to ask you how you watched the game last night. Congratulations. We were on opposite ends of picking that game, and you correctly selected the Pittsburgh Steelers to win the game.
How I watched it?
Yeah.
Sitting on the couch, using my eyes.
What stream, what offering? Was it on Amazon TV? Was it on Twitch? How'd you watch the game?
Yeah, Amazon Prime?
Yeah, Amazon Prime. So Prime Video.
Yeah.
I watched it on Twitch because I have the app on my phone, and a lot of my time right now is spent in the evenings in a dark room in a rocking chair with a small child.
Yeah.
So headphones, watched it on Twitch. And the take is this: I have never felt more detached from football fans than watching a football game on Twitch with the live comments that are happening on the Twitch stream of an NFL game.
What makes you feel detached there? Is it just like they don't see it the same way you do? Is it just smack talk?
Yeah, and you could tell it's a lot younger demographic. Like Twitch is was Twitch for streaming games. And I used to have like a connection with kids when I used to work in a different industry, and I worked in the health and fitness industry, where I would have clients who were 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade, right? So you'd have like kids you'd work with, and they kind of keep you in the loop. I got no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
I got no idea what they're talking about. These catchphrase, like the entire chat is saying like these, I'm guessing they're like memes or whatever. And I'm just like, this is half as entertaining as the game, but I'm also extremely confused.
Wow.
I've never felt more detached from the football community, because we usually watch games and we tweet it out on Twitter, and your timeline's filled with people that you've curated and cultivated versus just a live scroll of comments.
Well, look at you feeling detached, because you're usually pretty dialed in on like the demographics and what's going on.
That's the big epiphany for me. Is it's like, wow, I'm out of it.
I've been there for a while, so welcome to the club.
I have another take. The Tennessee Titans probably would have liked to have found another 4 points last night. So running on 3rd and 10 at the end of the first half when Will Levis was on fire was probably pretty dumb.
They knew that I needed to win.
Joe, what? What's the justification for going down the field in 1:30, having free runners all over the place because the pass rush wasn't getting home and Pittsburgh secondary couldn't cover anybody, and you get to 3rd and 10 in the red zone and you run the ball?
They say Bill Parcells always said the best red zone teams are ones that can run the ball in the red zone. It's critical.
Not on 3rd and 10 when you're in 2-minute offense and you punt on a chance to get a touchdown and take the 3. And guess what? You lost by the difference of if you'd have got a touchdown or kicked the field goal.
Shall we get into the takes on? We're 4.5 in now. Here we go. The first one here.
We filled the filibuster, and now we're ready to go.
I'm excited. We got good stuff to get here, and some good Teddy Take of the Week nominees. We'll go hot with one right off the bat. Dolphins craze. The 49ers have the least sustainable roster of all the contenders in the NFL due to John Lynch's drafting plus the Trey Lance trade. The most important part of roster building is having young and cheap talent along with the stars you've paid. They haven't had a first-round pick since Trey Lance. Also, their day 2 picks since that deal are nothing to write home about. They got lucky with Purdy and Hufanga, but then took a kicker this year in the 3rd round who's largely been inconsistent. This is not to mention some of the positions they have paid, including tight end, linebacker, and running back.
I think having Brock Purdy gives them a leash, right? That's your lifeline. Is you have a 7th round rookie contract at quarterback. Now, are you worried about the pipeline? Yeah. I think this iteration of the team is probably the best one you're going to see for a little bit, because they're going to have to transition away from some players and make some salary cap adjustments. And San Francisco is currently scheduled to be 27th in the league in salary cap space as things currently stand, at negative $13.5 million in 2024. But that's before you get into restructures and the levers. Joe, you'd like to talk about levers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Teams pulling levers. Here are the expiring contracts for San Francisco, with them being $13 million in the red for 2024. Chase Young, Sam Darnold, Javon Kinlaw, Deshaun Gibson, Oren Burks, Cleveland Farrell. That's really it for meaningful players.
They'll be okay next year.
Right. So they can sustain much of this. The question is, what are you doing with the Brandon Ayuk contract?
Yeah.
If you don't commit to that long-term because you know you're not going to have the space to make it work, do you make a move next offseason and restart that process of having rookie contracts by getting some assets?
Yeah. I thought they did a good thing conceptually, trading DeForest Buckner and getting that first-round pick back. Problem is Javon Kinlaw hasn't matched DeForest Buckner in any way, shape, or form. But I think some of that might be necessary to kind of replenish. But yes, I think they do need to find more meaningful young talent to offset their roster and kind of how it skews. And, you know, the reality is, you mentioned Brock Purdy as kind of their lifeline, but I mean, it feels like we're kind of getting into the adversity component of Brock Purdy's glow up, right? It seems to happen with all these Shanahan quarterbacks where they come out pretty hot. They make plays. You start to really believe in Shanahan. And then it's like, all right, well, now some of the supporting cast is not there for him. The results are a little bit more inconsistent. The metrics aren't necessarily showing that, you know, there's as much to love. And so for this lifeline, it's not like this lifeline is a Jalen Hurts lifeline or,
right,
you know, that type of thing. Like you're hoping that he doesn't fully regress into that scouting report.
Right. So here's what I can tell you. San Francisco, they can base salary restructure Trent Williams and get out of the red from a salary cap perspective.
Yeah, there's a lot of leverage, I'm sure of it. Yeah.
Right? Debo Samuel's $14 million. Fred Warner is 11.1. Christian McCaffrey, 7. Javon Hargrave, 6.5. George Kittle, if you wanted to, was 8.6. Like, you got all the levers in the world. That puts them at almost $50 million in cap space. So they can extend this out, but the worry is if you do that, it doesn't happen at the top. It deteriorates from the middle, right? The middle-class players on your roster you can't afford to keep anymore because you decided who your star players are that you're going to pay. And if you don't draft well, the bottom of the roster is not good either. So you become this older, top-heavy team down the road. That's the worry for San Francisco. But I think they're well within the model of this approach to team building and salary cap management.
None of that stops me from going after Kirk Cousins, I'll tell you that. If I'm San Fran.
That 2-year deal?
I'd do it. You want to maximize your window?
Restructure all these guys and get Kirk on a 2-year deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd roll the dice with that more than hoping Brock Purdy can continue his development with modest, you know, foundation to work from. So,
right.
All right, a ton to get to. But you got to check out PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the funnest, most exciting, easiest way to play daily fantasy sports. The format is incredible. It's just you versus the numbers. It's not you versus thousands of other players, including pros and sharks. It's just you versus numbers. Here's what you do. You select 2 or more players. You pick more or less in their projected stats, and you place your entry. That's it. It does not take long. Picks can be made in under a minute, and then when you win, the withdrawals are super, super quick. A lot of fun games this weekend. Chiefs, Dolphins, the Seattle, Baltimore, Bills, Bengals, Cowboys, Eagles. Maybe you think there's some of these games are going to be shootouts. Go and hit the over on PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
All right, Joe. I will allow us to get back on track because I know you're excited about the slate, and then we got through segment 1 and we answered one question.
Yeah. Corey, Leonard Williams will be looked at as the best trade acquisition from this year comfortably. Fits perfectly with what Clint Hurt wants to do. Can play every position on the D-line, and Reed, Jones, and Edwards are already playing well. He'll be able to stay fresh and be the best version of himself.
Probably.
You can see the path here for sure, right? But I think there's other good moves. Chase Young, good move to San Francisco. Ezra Cleveland, good move to Jacksonville. Rasul Douglas, good move to Buffalo. I can feel like all of those players have a real chance to make an impact the rest of the way for their respective teams.
Yeah.
So, sure, but also, I don't think it's like he uses words like
who's the most accomplished player?
Oh, it's Leonard Williams.
Right. So I think if you want to look at it through the lens of what he's been, confidence in that's what he's going to be, you could forecast it that way. I think that's fair.
All right, we got some Raiders head coaching stuff to get into here. Philip says the Raiders hire their 4th straight head coach. That first name starts with the letter J. Jim Harbaugh. Interim head coaches don't count. Jim Harbaugh, the Raiders head coach, is that the next move for him?
Probably won't be in Michigan.
Yeah, things are weird there, right? With whatever the
signals and stealing signs is one thing, but the nationwide tour of filming opposing sidelines from the stadium is weird. Is it the
Raiders? Like, this guy's felt like he's been NFL demand like for a while now. The Raiders?
I mean, last year, did he interview in Minnesota? He did interview in Minnesota, and it was about leveraging Michigan for a better deal, and then all this nonsense has come up. And do I feel like that's the kind of move that Mark Davis would make? Yes.
But if you're Harbaugh and you have options, is that the one you're taking?
How high are they picking?
Does it matter?
Oh, yeah, he's going to go there and take J.J. McCarthy in the
next year, right? Or He's going
to go there. He's going to go and take J.J. McCarthy to be his quarterback.
So what's your temperature in terms of likeliness? Like, what's your percent chance that this is a real outcome?
Acknowledging that him not going to the NFL at all is also a possibility.
Yeah,
or
it's
that he stays
Raiders or the field. Raiders or the field.
20%.
Okay, that's pretty. I think that's pretty. I was going to say more 10 to 15. So
like a solid percent, but not great. I don't think he's going to have a huge market in the NFL.
Right, that's probably true. So if it's the Raiders or Toledo, right?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hey, go get your $10 million a year from the Raiders.
But he might just chill for a year. You know what I mean? We've seen this. Kind of just let things play out a little bit. Sinrick, Lou Anarumo, and his rumored OC for the Cardinals job, Clint Kubiak, would be a great fit in Vegas if they let Lou build the defense through free agency like the Bengals did in 2020 and 2021.
You get a blank slate.
This is more along the lines of what I'm thinking for the Raiders.
Right. They probably should do that too, right? We've been chasing a certain kind of coach, and it hasn't worked out particularly well. So why don't we try something different? I don't know. I feel like the sell to free agents to come to Vegas is tough right now. The team has not been successful. You have not been competitive. I think you'd have to draft well first and get a proof of concept to players to get them to want to come.
I have been researching Lou Anarumo, obviously, this week, and I think the world of Lou Anarumo. Something that really surprised me in my studies of Lou Anarumo this week is that in his 5 full seasons as an NFL defensive coordinator, he's never ranked higher than 16th in total defense. The stats aren't pretty, but it's how he schemes.
Yards or points.
Total defense yards. His best, he's only finished higher than 16th once in scoring defense. Once in 17th, higher than 17th once in scoring defense. Like the defense are not statistically pretty. It's how he can scheme and call plays in high leverage situations that he's shown really since that 2021 playoff run. That changes everything. So I was pretty floored by seeing, how
that is pretty surprising.
Numbers don't really match the kind of the percept. Yeah, it doesn't, but I like Anarumo. Okay, here we go. I know that is my video frozen? Here I am.
It is frozen. Here you are.
You love that. That's what I get for trying to pull up a tab while recording.
I was wondering whose fault this was, but
you
have established it's yours.
100% my fault. Ian down by the river, that's the name, says
by the river.
There will be a head coaching change in 6 NFL divisions, not the AFC South, not the NFC West, from 2023 week 1 to 2024 week 1. So between now and then, will we get it one division, one head coaching change per division, not including the AFC South or NFC West?
All right, so we're ruling out the NFC West because we think Gannon in year 1 gets leeway, and we think McVay doesn't retire in spite of welcoming his first child to the world, right? That's
who's not going to be there in the AFC East? Belichick?
That's the most I mean, the team's 2-6. They're in last place in the AFC. So that's what you would need. That would be the likely one, and it's how much stock do you take into the first reported terms of Bill Belichick's contract in the entire history of Bill Belichick working for the Patriots? Conveniently at 2-5, it comes out that he got a contract extension.
The North, who's going there?
Stefanski.
That's your Stefanski.
Stefanski would be your scapegoat if Cleveland's season falls off the rails.
He eliminated the South, so the West, who's going in? We've already had the West.
It's already had the West. It's done. The NFC East.
NFC East.
Rivera is out.
NFC North.
Eberflus.
Yeah, that's the one. NFC South, who's going there? Allen?
It should be.
Bowles?
It could be. I would say no, just because there's too many things that have to break.
Yeah, I like it's aggressive take. We always celebrate that. I don't think it's going to be true.
Yeah, I agree.
That guy, Jose, says the Giants did not make the wrong decision by extending Daniel Jones at the time. Saquon was asking for too much. DJ won us a playoff game. Even though regression was expected, nobody could have foreseen what has happened. Plus, the schedule has been brutal. Only elite teams could have gone through that 6-game stretch with a winning record. Also, I like this one. Carne asada is overrated. Chicken is better for most Mexican dishes. I think that's true.
That is factual.
There's just better consistency.
That is factual.
Yeah. Listen, I think that guy Jose has a point here, because you and I both projected some pretty nice things for Daniel Jones this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, they didn't pay him $50 million. They paid him $40, which is like
still a lot of money.
It's still a lot of money, but in relative to NFL quarterbacks, it's very middle of the pack.
So I think if you looked at the Giants and what they did last year and what their investment opportunities were, paying Daniel Jones the contract that they did is a very defensible position to take. I think you can look at, okay, what was the upgrade opportunity that they were going to have? You didn't get a lot that gave you warm and fuzzies, and they made the playoffs and won a playoff game. So they pick what, 20 Deonte Banks at 25, 26, 23, 24, somewhere in that stratosphere, right?
Yeah.
Like, you weren't picking a quarterback there. So, if you did, you had no confidence.
Will Levis.
Right. But what was your confidence level of Will Levis being there in March when you had to make the Daniel Jones decision?
Right. Not very good, but always the quarterback that you thought, toolsy quarterback like Levis with Brian Dable. You start thinking about Josh Allen, you like it.
Right. Then they should have taken him anyway.
Correct.
You know, like, because the Daniel Jones contract is, in spite of the terms, it's not hard to get out of. It's really this year, next year. I'm curious what I'm going to float around and produce this thing. Give me a minute.
Kyle is floating around producing this thing. Always my favorite moment when I have to filibuster. I'm so good at this. Really, my strength in life is filibustering. for Kyle to look up a contract. Daniel Jones. Kyle.
Okay, so they could trade Daniel Jones this upcoming offseason, 1 year after a 4-year, $160 million contract was given, and save $14 million against the cap.
Who's trading for this contract? Who?
Okay, if all of the guaranteed money is off the table,
Right, which happens in trades.
right? So you're just bringing in a salary that you could part ways from at any point. I mean, from a cash perspective, he's owed 36 next year and 30 and a half the year after that. And then
pretty digestible.
Right. And then 47 and a half of fully non-guaranteed money in 2026.
But that's still that's a lot to consider. They didn't. I think more than likely he's going to stay as a quarterback of the Giants.
Correct, but I'm saying the contract was structured in a way that this is not an albatross contract. Like I think that like the Kyler Murray contract is.
Correct.
So the fact that they structured it the way that they did, I think it's very defensible to say you did the right thing by signing Daniel Jones with what last season looked like. I think the issue with New York was always the cast around him, and we talked about how bad it was last year and how they just managed to push the right buttons and out-coach and scheme up throws. And what happens if everybody has an offseason to catch up with everything that you do and you don't bring in difference makers from a talent perspective and you try to do the same thing?
Yeah.
You're going to get busted, and they did.
Yeah. All right, we're talking touchdown celebrations, and if Matt Eberflus is one of the worst 3 head coaching hires of the last 20 years, but I got to tell you about DoorDash, folks. I'm obsessed with DoorDash. I love the convenience. It is simply unmatched, especially in my busy life, right? We're all busy. We're all wondering what we're going to make for dinner and when we're going to have time to get to the grocery store. Stop worrying about it. DoorDash can handle that for you. They'll bring you food from your favorite local restaurants. Listen, I've ordered from the Smoke Pit 6 times in the last 14 days. I checked out my order history today on DoorDash. They bring
6
me
times.
Yeah, man. It's the protein,
What's
man. They give me wings and sausage and barbecue. I absolutely love it. They will, all my favorite local restaurants, I can get my food from there, and also groceries, right? They'll give you groceries, bring them right to your front door, just like you pick them off the shelf for yourself. So stop worrying about what's for dinner. Stop worrying about what you're going to snack on. Stop worrying about if you've got, a C4, an energy drink in the fridge. You can order that from DoorDash. They'll bring it right to your house as Kyle sips away on his. We got
I'm mixing it with Gatorade now.
Right, there you go. It's
so you get your Gatorade and your C4.
A little bit of sodium there, a little bit of a boost.
Go. Stay hydrated.
Got a deal here. Get 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter code LOCKED23. Subject to change, terms apply. Again, don't forget to use code LOCKED23 for 50% off up to a $10 value when you order from DoorDash. You download the app and spend $15 or more. Subject to change, terms apply. All right, Kyle.
Give me this coaching take because we're gonna throw a lot of cold water on this take right now.
Matt Eberflus will go down as one of the top 3 worst coaching tenures in the last 20 years, between the lack of improvement, players getting worse when they come here, multiple coaches being let go mid-season due to conduct, and so many embarrassing performances. It's clear that this experiment has been a failure.
Well, yes, the experiment's been a failure. I think we can all agree there, right?
Yeah.
This isn't even one of the 3 worst offensive, or this is not one of the 3 worst NFL head coaching tenures of the last 5 years.
Let's do it. I'll throw one out there. Jim Tomsula, San Francisco 49ers.
2015, he was on my list. How about Nathaniel Hackett last year? One and done. Didn't make it to the end of the season. How about Urban Meyer the year before that? One and done. Didn't make it to the end of the season.
How about Matt Patricia? How about Josh McDaniels, which just went down?
Chip Kelly in San Francisco.
The second one, that was bad. Rod Marinelli, hello. Welcome to the conversation.
Yep.
Adam Gase with the Jets.
Jets, Adam Gase. How about Cam Cameron, one and done in Miami?
Yeah, I knew you'd have that one up your sleeve. Yeah.
Hugh Jackson.
Oh, brother.
2011 with
what
the
was
Raiders.
He like?
And then the Browns one, he was
2 and 32.
Yeah.
Man. There's been some bombs out there, brother. Jeez. And there's probably people yelling at us right now like, I can't believe you didn't think of this one.
How about Steve Wilkes in Arizona?
That was a rough one. Cliff,
That was 3 and 13.
They went to the playoffs. Cliff's not. That was probably a little aggressive, but for the hype and for the resume, like the qualifications for the job, yikes.
Rob Chudzinski in Cleveland.
Judd pulled him from that Panthers team, right?
Malarkey in Jacksonville. 2 and 14.
That's a good one.
Let me see. We got a few. Bobby Petrino.
Oh, yes. Yo, that's a good poll.
Right up there.
Bro, that's a good poll after the disaster ending.
Yes. I'm sitting here just like scrolling through.
He's out of here. Oh man.
And he got a 10-year deal from Atlanta.
10 years. Kyle.
Are
they done paying him? Is that still on the books?
No. He got a 10-year deal with Louisville and then left for the NFL a few months after getting his 10-year deal, which is your red flag there for you for Bobby Petrino.
There's some doozies out there, man. Some absolute doozies.
Art Shell the second time. Yeah. 06. That's about it for the last 20 years.
Yeah. So
I'm sitting here going through NFL Reference, looking at teams and records and their coaches in that stretch. And
Eberflus is certainly we're not celebrating Eberflus. He's up there, but definitive top 3.
Yeah.
We got some contenders.
I'm passing on that.
Josh says big man celebrations, like letting the center spike it, are infinitely more pleasing than individuals doing their dance, like the gritty leaping in the stands from a former peaked in high school quarterback. Give the big boys some love.
And give him more touches too.
I really like this take, and I never really thought about it until I read the take, because I don't know. You see these skill players do their dances and stuff like that, and it's cool. I feel something when you see a O lineman just spike the ball and it's like a good result, it hits off the ground and goes flying. There's an energy that I feel there. I don't know. I can watch receivers and running backs do dances all the time. That doesn't move the needle. I think there's something true to this.
I'll buy.
Are you into the group? I know the Dolphins have had some Congo lines and all kinds of stuff.
Some choreographed.
Yeah, you into that?
Yeah, I think it's fun.
I don't know if I hate it. I'm pretty indifferent on the group ones, but I like celebrations. They're fun. I like fun. If you don't like celebrations, then
what are we even doing?
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Evan would say here that the Washington Commanders will go at most 1-8 in their last 9 games and finish with a max record of 4-13. This will land them a top 3 pick in Caleb Williams or Drake Maye. He said, "Do the thing." Kyle, I'm seeing a lot of love here for Drake Maye jumping Caleb Williams. Dane Brugler this week had Maye over Williams, and I don't know if that's a trendy conversation, but
yeah, I think it'll only get hotter now that Dane kind of came out and did it.
Mm-hmm.
And Dane's been a big Drake Maye fan for the entire process, so I'm not surprised that that's a direction that he's chosen to go, because I think I said on here last week, I thought Drake Maye, after kind of a slow start in the new scheme, has made some strides. I still have some prominent questions, and I have more questions than I do with Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams is probably a little less traditional. And you know how NFL teams get with non-traditional at quarterback, right?
Yep.
Painting FU on his fingernails, and he's very deliberate. We've spoken with Caleb. We met Caleb.
I thought he was awesome.
Correct. But you're not a 65-year-old billionaire owner of a franchise or a VP of football ops or GM that's been a football guy for the last 40 years, who sees a QB that has a little bit of an edge to him, right? He's got some flair to him.
Yeah, but he was also there's a coolness about him, though, man. We got that.
I don't.
He gave us
disagree.
20 minutes, right? And we saw the whole gamut of that edginess to him, but man, just a process through and through, hardworking guy that loves and cares about football. It's important to him.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I like that package.
Right. And he talked about him and his dad and their entire plan to get him to the pros and the process. I'm sure there's probably some teams that are a little skittish about his dad being hands-on too. just because there's all those layers. So then you have Drake Maye, who's cookie cutter, 6'5",
who threatened to leave North Carolina if they didn't get rid of the OC.
I'm not saying that it's right. I'm
you know
telling
what I mean?
you why the narrative probably is the way that it is.
Yeah. Are the Commanders going 1-8 the rest of the way? I think that's what Evan would like to know.
That's at New England, at Seattle. Not looking good either.
No, not looking
either
good.
of those. Home against the Giants. They've already lost to the Giants 14-7.
I think they have two maybes already right there.
New England and New York.
Those are two maybes.
At Dallas.
Not looking good.
Home against Miami.
No.
Bye week.
Will not lose.
At LA Rams.
Is that a maybe?
At LA Rams?
Probably not.
At New York Jets?
No.
San Francisco 49ers?
Not good.
Dallas Cowboys?
No chance.
That's it.
They have two maybes. So it says go at most 1-8. I think that's probably true. Is 4-13 get you a top 3 pick?
They are who we thought they were.
They were 2-0, Kyle. They were 2-0.
Nope, 2-0, beat the Cardinals.
Resilient,
Kyle. 5 points. Congratulations.
Told they're a resilient football team.
Yeah. They are who we thought they were.
I'm good.
No more?
The one that I have left is from Steve, and if the Bills lose this week, they miss the playoffs. I think we can leave that. We can move on.
Yeah, we'll revisit that next week and see what happens on Sunday, right?
Hey, real quick, my thoughts on the Bills. You got 3 gotta have it's. Jets, Patriots, Denver at home. That's 3 wins. That gets you to 8. Go 3-3 the rest of the way. Now, the problem is the rest of the way is Bengals, Eagles, Chiefs, Dolphins, Cowboys, Chargers. Can you go 3-3 there? I'm not sure. Print the shirts for the Dolphins, right?
You can.
Print the shirts.
You can go 3-3 there the rest of the way. That's going to do it for us here on this Friday Takes on Takes episode of Locked On NFL Scouting. Appreciate you guys checking out the show. We are out of here. Enjoy week 9 of the NFL season. It was underway last night with Thursday Night Football. We'll be back on Monday to talk about all the action on Sunday.